Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Cullen with the Norwood League of Women Voters, and I want to welcome you to our Candidates Night Forum ahead of the municipal election coming up on Monday, April 6th. We are pleased, as always, to be able to partner with Norwood Community Media to bring you this event, and we are excited to be conducting the forum live in the NCM studio. I'd like to thank League members Linda Renzi and Eileen Hannon for all their work to make this evening run smoothly. I'd also like to thank the candidates for their willingness to volunteer their time and expertise in service to our town, and for being here tonight to provide information about their candidacy and ideas for Norwood and its residents. The mission of the League of Women Voters is to empower voters and defend democracy. The League envisions and works towards a democracy where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate, and it holds a belief in the power of citizens to create a more perfect democracy. It is in this spirit of empowering voters that we bring you tonight's program. The League does not endorse candidates for election. Rather, we provide information about candidates to help serve our mission of empowering an educated and informed voting public. Our format this evening is similar to that of past forums. On this year's ballot, there are 4 contested races. Featuring in studio tonight will be candidates for Finance Commission, School Committee, and Board of Selectmen. Additionally, there are 2 candidates to fill 1 seat on the Board of Health. However, 1 candidate opted not to attend tonight. Both candidates were given the opportunity to pre-record a message for the voters, with 1 candidate doing so. We will play that now before beginning our live portion.
Hello, Norwood. My name is Catherine Unger-Peer, and I am running for Board of Health. The board is responsible for oversight of the health department and enacts local regulations to protect the health of the community. I am running to bring my relevant experience and a fresh perspective to a board that hasn't seen a new member in the last 16 years. I'm a public health professional with over 12 years of experience in municipal and state health departments. I have conducted disease investigations, shadowed restaurant inspections, and assisted residents with obtaining services. I have experience with updating regulations and complex program management. I am confident that I will be able to use these abilities to improve the work of the Board of Health. Here are some of my priorities for the next 3 years. I would like to implement routine reviews of existing regulations. As an example, there is a local regulation from 1957 requiring all kitchens to have garbage disposals in their sinks. I think we can all agree that a lot has changed since 1957, so periodically reviewing regulations seems like a sensible thing to do. There should also be more interaction around the development of new regulations. I would push for the regulation of kratom, a naturally derived opioid-like substance with the nickname gas station heroin. Canton passed a regulation banning sale of the substance last year, and I would like to see Norwood review this issue sooner rather than later. I also believe that communication from town departments to residents can be improved. The Norwood Health Department has several great services available, from $5 bike helmets to sharps containers, to vaccines, to blood pressure clinics and CPR classes. Yet when I speak with residents, most people do not know that many of these services exist. The Sharon Health Department releases a monthly newsletter, which provides detailed information on a variety of topics, and I would like to see something similar in Norwood. Speaking of great services, I also sit on the Impact Norwood Steering Committee, and we are working to find funding to support this program after its grant ends in 2027. Since the program started in 2018, we have seen lifetime alcohol and marijuana use among Norwood High School students drop by 40% and 50% respectively. I want to have this successful program continue, and to be able to expand the program to provide services to the entire community. As many of you know, Norwood is facing a budget challenge over the next couple of years. Reviewing existing budgets is key, as is finding ways to do the work using other funding sources. I want to explore using funds from the Norfolk County 8 Shared Service Arrangement and Opioid Settlement Fund to provide new and expanded services without impacting the town budget. Finally, let's talk about Norwood Hospital. We need a hospital. As a former EMT, I understand the pressures our firefighter paramedics face every day. I share the frustration of every resident and how slowly this process is moving. I wish I could say that a vote for me meant a vote for the hospital, but unfortunately this problem is beyond any one person. If elected, I will do whatever I can to help bring this hospital back and ensure that residents are regularly informed on the progress. I kindly ask for your support and vote on Monday, April 6th. Thank you.
You can find information about all the candidates running for town-wide office and town meeting, as well as information about the Norwood chapter of the League on our website, my.lwv.org/Massachusetts/Norwood, and by following us on Facebook. If anyone is interested in joining the League of Women Voters, please email us at lwvnorwoodma@gmail.com. At this time, I'd like to introduce our moderator for the evening, Sue Flykop, who is currently a member of the League of Women Voters of Wayland and has been moderating League forums for nearly 10 years. We greatly appreciate her offering her time to help us out tonight. Sue will explain the format and timing for the evening, then we will begin with opening statements and questions. The questions being asked tonight are a combination of League-authored questions and questions submitted to the public, from the public to our email address. With that, I'll hand it over to Sue.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm very happy to be here tonight. My name is Sue, and I first want to explain to people here and to Norwood voters the format of tonight. It'll be in 3 parts. We're first going to meet the members of the the people running for a finance commission. There are 2 candidates for 1 seat. Then we have 3 candidates for school committee for 2 seats, and 3 candidates for the Board of Selectmen for 2 seats for 2 seats as well. The candidates have been told they have 2 minutes to each make their own opening statement, and then we'll have a series of questions that Sarah said had been submitted from the public and also created by the League. They'll have 1 minute each to answer these questions, and then after we're done with all these questions, they'll have 1 minute for a closing statement. So we're first going to start with the Finance Commission. We have 2 candidates for 1 seat. We have Edward Lynch and Kelly Newmy. And we're going to start with opening statements for them. So Ed, 2 minutes to you. Opening statement.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ed Lynch. I'm here for a seat on the Norwood FinCom. I want to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I also want to thank all the candidates who are here, those of you watching at home, my supporters, my family, my wife, Mel, and children, Natalie, Eddie, and Stephen. I'm a 34-year resident of Norwood, father of 3 kids, taught by Norwood schools, coach for Norwood sports for 25 years, town meeting member for 12, and the sole proprietor of my business for over 40 years. As a town meeting member, I know how hard the FinCom works. I respect what they do for this town, and I don't take running for this seat lightly. I've self-funded this campaign because I know I can bring something unique to the committee. A fresh set of eyes and my 40 years of experience running a small business. I deal with taxes, purchasing, planning, pricing, banking, deliveries, and countless other decisions on a daily basis. I believe in a common sense approach. It's just as important to look at how we're spending what we have as it is to find new streams of revenue. Over the years, I've had ups and downs like everyone else, but through them all, I've been grateful to call this Norwood my home. I love Norwood and want to keep it affordable for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And now Kelly, to you. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I'm Kelly Newmy, and I'm running for Finance Commission because I believe Norwood's budget and long-term finances deserve leaders who use data, experience, and clear judgment, not emotions or politics. I served on the Finance Commission for 5 years. In that time, we passed the operational override and approved funding for the new Coakley Middle School. Those were big, consequential decisions. We got there by digging into numbers, modeling scenarios, and explaining the trade-offs to the public. I'm asking your vote so I can bring that same discipline back to the table. In my professional life, I'm a chief technology officer. I lead large organizations, manage multi-million-dollar budgets, and work with boards and executives on strategy and spending. Day in and day out, I have to separate what the data actually shows from what people want it to show. And then I have to make recommendations that are defensible and transparent. I apply that same standard to town finance. Follow the facts, explain the assumptions, and make choices that are in Norwood's best interest. I'm a Norwood resident, a parent of 2 in our schools, and I care very deeply about this town. I've coached multiple sports for over a decade, served as an officer on multiple PTA boards, and volunteered at many town fundraisers. I live in a multi-generational household with my mother, so I'm also very cognizant of the impacts of rising costs on our seniors. I'm running to bring my commission experience, my professional background, and my fact-based approach back to the Finance Commission. I'd be grateful for your vote, and I thank you so much for watching this presentation, and I thank the League for all that they've done to organize it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, we're going to jump right into questions. And Kelly, you're going to go first on this one. So the town meeting will soon be voting on a public safety override that will allow for funding for new firefighters and new police officers. Do you support this override? And if not, how would you propose the town fund these needed positions?
That's an amazing question. I do believe, based on several factors, that the town is in need of more public safety. The closure of the hospital has had a great impact on this community. It's impacted it from a financial perspective in terms of the people that work there, in terms of the businesses that got money from them, but it's also caused a safety issue, and that's impacted our police and fire. Now, instead of driving patients to Norwood Hospital, they have to transport them to Beth Israel in Needham, possibly Good Samaritan in Brockton, or they have to take them into Boston, which is a significant expense and takes more resources. So I definitely think that we need more people. However, what I would say with that is we're right now facing a structural deficit that impacts multi-layers of the town. Before we go asking for money for one segment, I think what we should do is take a holistic approach and look at what other areas might require funding, and then put together a proposal for the town with transparency and trade-offs that make sense to fund all of those different things. The last thing I would want to do to the town is to come and ask for an override for public safety, which I agree that we need, and then a year later come back and ask again. I would rather do that thoughtfully in one turn.
Thank you. And Ed, the same question to you.
Thank you. Obviously, the police and fire need help up there. The override should be a last thought. There are other ways to get money. The free cash, we can kick the override down for another year. A lot of things happen in a year. If we get a large amount of free cash this year, we can pay the salaries for that. We don't have to hire 15 firefighters immediately and 5 policemen. I would say we could hire a few at the beginning of July, and we can support that with the free cash till we find more revenue. There is different ways to get revenue in this town. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next question, Ed, you're going to be first on this. It's sort of building on what you just talked about. Norwood faces rising long-term costs in areas such as schools, public safety, infrastructure, and benefits. Do you believe the town's primary challenge is a revenue problem, a spending problem, or a structural budgeting problem, and then why?
I think it's a combination. Norwood's always been more than generous, takes care of all of its citizens in some capacity or another. For instance, the new high school, here's one way we could save some money. The new high school, it's old, well, 2012 it opened. There's about $10.5 million on the balance of that. If we were to pay that off with free cash, since we have a 1.4.5-ish million note per year, over the course of that loan, if we pay that principal off, you would save 1.4.5-ish million. So take the free cash we're gonna get in 2026, apply that to the Norwood High School loan, and you would have 1.4 million saved in interest. You'd also be paying.
Okay, thank you. And Kelly, the question to you.
Thank you so much. I think I agree with that this is a multifaceted issue, and there's several things that need to be looked at to address it. With regards to the override for the high school, we cannot take that money from the voters and use it for anything other than the high school. That was what's called a debt exclusion override. A debt exclusion override is for a specific purpose. So if we take money for a high school or for the Coakley Middle School that we just did, we can't then pay off the loan and use that money for other purposes. We just can't do that. It's not legal. And that would be basically fraud to the voters. So I think we have a combined issue here. I think what we really need to do is we need to take a step back and decide, what is it that we want Norwood to be? What is so crucial to the fabric of this community? What are the things that are essential for us to maintain that fabric? Define those, figure out what the cost is, and then we can decide how to fund it. Right now, we're just going at things piecemeal instead of saying, okay, what defines this great town we live in? What defines this town that I chose to move to? Out of all the places I could have moved, I moved
Thank you,
here, and there was a
Kelly.
reason for it.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, next question is kind of, again, building. We're building on the same topic. Kelly, you're up first. What are your thoughts on a debt exclusion override and an operational override and their effects on residents' property tax bills?
So, like I said, a debt exclusion override is for a specific purpose, and the length of the loan is the length of the override is the length of the loan. So, say we took out a 50-year loan or a 50-year bond for the high school, that override will be on your taxes for 50 years. An operational override is an override that is permanent. That permanent raises the tax rates. The challenge we have is that Prop 2.5 limits what towns can change, what towns can raise their tax limits by 2.5%, which is great in that it protects the voters from tax spikes. But the problem comes in when the rate of inflation is higher than 2.5%. In that case, you have to cut things in order to be able to balance your budget. And unlike me, that I can go and spend more than I have and take out a credit card, the town can't do that. It is required by law to have a balanced budget. And that's the challenge that we get into when we talk about an override.
Thank you. And Ed, to you, your thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. My thoughts are, you're right, there's a difference between the operational override. It's a permanent increase, and the debt exclusion is for a building that would come off a loan that would end. It wouldn't increase your taxes permanently. It comes off in 20 years. The problem is, as Kelly was saying, it's Proposition 2.5, but there are other ways to get income other than increasing taxes on the residents in the commercial business, and that's what we have to try to get, because when those taxes go up, the cost of living goes up. So look into new revenue. I didn't know that the debt exclusion enterprise was not eligible for that, because I don't know, but that would have been an idea. There are other ways to get finance, and that's what we have to start talking about, rather than having an override over the course of a couple of months, because knowing we need these firefighters and these police up there.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. But sort of building on what you just said, and you're going to go first on this one.
Okay.
If overrides are limited or avoided, and you want to avoid them, what specific spending reductions, prioritization decisions, or policy changes would you support to balance the budget?
Thank you. Well, again, if the override goes on the ballot, if it did not pass, it may not pass. Again, free cash. The last 2 years, the free cash Norwood was left with at the end of the fiscal year was an average of $20 million per year. It was $12 million in '24, $30 million in $29 million-ish in 25. So I think a lot of people don't understand that. They think, that money we should be able to take some of that and do something other than just whatever it is that we're doing. It's then, if there's a structural deficit, which is determined, and even the FinCom's been saying, slow down spending. But if we could have more of a definition of than with the structural balance, so people could understand that, and that would,
Okay, thank you. And Kelly, the question to you?
Absolutely. So I like Ed, agree that an override is the last option, right? That's the last thing that you want to do, to go to the voters and say, we're going to raise your tax rates. No one wants that, right? However, free cash is a one-time thing that the town gets. It's not reliable and repeatable. It's like saying I wanted to pay my mortgage with savings. Yeah, I could do that maybe for a couple months, but after a couple months, I'm not going to be able to pay it anymore, and I have no plan for how to pay it in the future. That's what we're up against. There are many things that we can look at. We can look at our OPED costs. We can look at the fees that we're charging for certain activities, both within the schools, within the town. We can look at a lot of different things to evaluate that. And again, an override's a last-ditch decision, and I think everyone agrees with that. But sometimes it is necessary. But how you approach that is with an open, honest conversation, explaining what the trade-offs are, like what happened for the last override. If we didn't do the override, we were going to lose certain services, and that was transparent. And the town voted that they wanted to keep those services.
Thank you. Okay, Kelly, you're up next for this question.
All right.
How important, keeping in mind who's in the room, how important do you think the relationship between the school committee, Board of Selectmen, and Finance Commission is? And how do you foster that collaboration?
I think that's an amazing question. I don't think you can understate the importance of that relationship. I think clear collaboration within the boards, make sure that we're fostering transparent conversation and that we're all aligned and that the community is hearing a message from all of us that's consistent and constant, and it allows us to work together to better understand each area's needs, right? The schools representing the schools, the Board of Selectmen's kind of representing everything, and the FinCom's trying to make sure we're financially prudent. Only by working together can we understand what those needs are and prioritize them. In a vacuum, I might make different decisions than the Board of Selectmen might, but by working together, we can get the pulse on what the community wants as a whole and prioritize accordingly.
Thank you. And Ed, the question to you?
Thank you. There has to be communication between these boards. I don't know, I'm sure there is some type of communication up there. I don't know how occasional. Instinctively, I would say they should meet more. There should be more communication and include the capital outlay. But the problem is income. More revenue, perhaps a bag tax where everybody pays a little for the bag, and you're saving on, a little bit less litter out there. You don't want to pay the nickel for the bag? Bring your own bags. There are other ways too. And separate than the 2.5% that constraints these increases, there's new growth. That's where this money's come. Building permits, other type of taxes, and different. One-time one-time money drops, like Kelly suggested. They're not reliable, but you have to use them in a smart manner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, this question's to you first. Do you feel the town's bond rating is important, and how can it be impacted?
Norwood I'm under the impression Norwood has a great bond rating, and also it is better to have that because you can get a lesser rate on the loans, on the notes. You can also refinance. This creative financing. Every loan is negotiable, and again, if the boards could work together, there's more communication, more ideas, something. We don't know how much free cash we're going to have on 6/30 of this year. But, it's going to go. it's gonna go, and we have to start somewhere. If there is an override eventually on the ballot, I would suggest we would need to get some kind of a memory of understanding, an MOU, so that the people can keep track of who's pledging the money, where's it going, and that this is it. You know, if you want another override, taxes bump. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. And Kelly, the question to you.
So the bond rating is critical. So think of it like your FICO score, right? You have a credit score, and that score dictates what loans you're eligible for and the rates that you pay, right? That's basically what our bond rating does for the town. It decides what loans we can be eligible and what the rate of interest is. Like as Ed said, lower the interest, better for the town. Less cost on the debt means less cost to the taxpayers, which is great. We have a AA bond rating, which is very high. AAA is the highest. We do not have that. I think there is some benefit to trying to do that. However, there are trade-offs to that in terms of how free cash could be used. We would have to very much limit the use of free cash for anything operational, which might really cause challenges for the town. So we have to, again, just like everything else, look at the facts, look at the trade-offs. Is it worth going to AAA and limiting how we can use free cash, or do we want that flexibility? Have that discussion and then make a decision together as a community.
Okay. We have our last question before we get to closing statements. And so, Kelly, you're going to be first on this. And it is about free cash, which we've been talking about. So, Norwood has been using free cash to balance the operating budget for years. Explain what free cash is. We've been talking about it, but maybe not all the viewers actually know what free cash is. And then, do you feel this is a sustainable practice? Why not?
Absolutely. So free cash is the amount of money that's left after we take all the incoming revenue from the town and we take away all our expenses, and we're left with free cash. So if you compare this to a company, it would be their profit. If you compare it to your personal life, you could call it your savings, right? Now, like I said earlier, using savings as a standard for balancing operating budget is not good. Just like if I use my savings to pay my mortgage, eventually my savings isn't there anymore. It's not guaranteed. And then I don't have a plan to pay my mortgage. So while I can see free cash being used occasionally to balance the budget, or even better, to be used for one-time outlays of cash or capital projects that might need it, or even what we should be doing even more of is putting it in a reserve fund so we have that money for a rainy day when something like a COVID happens or something like September 11th happens. That was a complete shock to the entire economy. It impacted everyone, including municipal finance.
Thank you.
That way we
Thank you,
have
Kelly.
that money there.
Thank you. And Ed, 1 minute to you.
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. Norwood has been using free cash to balance the operating budget for years. Can you explain what free cash is for our viewers, and do you feel it's a sustainable practice?
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. The free cash, right, it's at the end of the year, which is going to be the fiscal year, which is June 30th, that's the remaining number that's certified. And that comes from, obviously, the increase in the 2.5% increase per year that's allowed, and new growth permits, fees, and other things that you now have. That's been very high the last few years. So it's not going to happen all the time. It is inconsistent. Those numbers are going to go down to very low, and then you would have a year, not often, but 30 million like it was a year ago. But a reserve fund would be a great idea, or some kind of investment, even if we take out $2 million a year, set it aside. So I agree with Kelly on that.
Okay.
The override, okay.
Thank you, Ed.
You-
We're ready to go to closing statements. So they're a minute each, and we're going to go in reverse order. We started with Ed, so now we're going to start with Kelly, and then we'll end up with Ed.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Thank you for being here tonight and caring about how Norwood spends its money and plans for our future. And thank you so much to the League of Women Voters and to our friends at NCM for organizing this amazing event. Norwood is facing a structural budget gap. Reoccurring costs are growing faster than reoccurring revenue, And the Finance Commission's job is to help the town face that honestly, with data, long-term planning, and clear choices about what we invest and how we use one-time resources like free cash. I've done that work before, database decision-making, thoughtful spending, and collaboration with various town boards and Norwood residents. I've spent almost a decade coaching youth sports, serving as an officer of the PTO boards, and volunteering at town fundraisers. That's how I've stayed connected to family, schools, and the community, and why I care so much about Norwood's long-term success, not just this year's budget. I'm asking your vote so I can bring that experience and a fact-based approach back to the Finance Commission. Whatever you decide tonight, I hope you'll vote. Local elections shape our schools, our services, and our quality of life. Your voice does matter. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. And on to you, Ed.
Thank you. We're here because we want what's best for Norwood. But we need new eyes and ideas. Operational overrides are permanent and raise everyone's cost of living. I believe that as much as we need ways to generate annual revenue, we need to take a closer look at how we're spending what we already have. If you have any questions or thoughts for me, please reach out. I love to talk about this stuff. Again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Kelly, my supporters, friends, and family. My name is Ed Lynch, and I respectfully ask for your vote on April 6th. Thank you for your time.
And thank you to the voters. You'll see Edward Lynch and Kelly Numi on your ballot. You will vote for one in this election. Thank you both for putting yourselves forward. And to the viewers, we're going to take a short break and then be back with members of the school committee.
Norwood residents who may or may not have professional experience. Part of Norwood Community Media's mission is to provide residents the opportunity to create programs using a professional studio and equipment. Norwood Community Media provides the studio, equipment, and technical support, but has no input in the content of the program. The opinions and views expressed on community access programs are strictly those of the program's producers and participants. To learn more about community access, please reach out to Norwood Community Media.
Welcome back. We are here tonight now with members or candidates for a school committee. We have 3 candidates, and you will be voting for 2 in this upcoming election. The 3 candidates are Benjamin Mosier, Nicholas Palang, and Michael Sangalang. So we're going to start, as we did with candidates for the Finance Commission, with opening statements. They're 2 minutes apiece, and we will start with you, Ben, first.
Thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting, Norwood Community Media for broadcasting, and everyone at home for watching. I'm really grateful to live in a town like Norwood My wife, Andy, and our son, Simon, who's a sixth grader at the fantastic New Coakley, have all found community here. And that's a big deal to someone like me who moved around a lot growing up, to be able to put down roots and tell Simon, this is our hometown. Because I value this community and what it has meant to us, I've always looked for places where I can put my efforts back into Norwood. One of those ways has been 7 years as a town meeting member, and it's in preparing for and attending town meeting that I felt a pull towards the school committee and the work they do. I've spent nearly 20 years working in online learning, making sure that teachers have the tools they need and that students are getting the experience they deserve. The online learning space is constantly changing as new tools, new needs, and new approaches to learning are presented. And I've seen comparable changes coming to the work ahead for Norwood Public Schools. My experience navigating changes of both choice and necessity will be valuable. In my day-to-day, I often introduce myself to new instructors by saying that I'm here for their answers, and if I don't have their answers, I know who does. And I would extend that same invitation to all of you as a school committee member. I want your curiosity, and I want to be able to answer to it so we make sure that all the decisions being made are crystal clear. I appreciate that everyone running for these two seats has a vested interest in NPS. The Callahan and now the Coakley have been great to my son, and I would treat the school committee as a commitment to every Norwood student so that they could say the same of their experience. I'm Ben Moser. I'm asking for your consideration, and if I earn your vote, thank you for your trust.
Thank you. And Nick, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for organizing this tonight, as well as Norwood Media for hosting us, and to my fellow candidates for being here. If we haven't met yet, my name is Nicholas Palang. I wasn't born in Norwood, but I've made this community my home for over 20 years, and I'm deeply invested into what happens here. I'm the parent of 2 kids in the Norwood Public School System, a 3rd grader and a 2nd grader, and my wife is a school nurse in the district. Professionally, I work as a technology consultant, helping large healthcare organizations implement data sharing solutions, the kind where there's no easy answer, where getting it wrong has real consequences, and where you have to ask the right questions before you start talking about answers, which is exactly why I'm running for school committee and exactly what the school committee needs right now. We're entering a period of real uncertainty, funding cuts that are already hitting, a technology landscape that is evolving faster than our policies, students facing mental health challenges and learning differences on a scale that we have never seen before. School staff are consistently asked to do more with less every single year, and parents are juggling demanding jobs with an after-school care system that is increasingly difficult to navigate. I'm not running because I have all the answers. I'm running because I want to find them, and because I'm willing to do the hard work before voting on something I don't fully understand. Norwood schools are a big part of why families like mine moved here and stayed. The public school mission is a comprehensive, innovative education in an inclusive, safe, and supportive environment. And that's a Norwood promise, not a state and not a federal promise. When resources get tight, it doesn't go away. It means we have to make harder decisions together for the whole community, residents, parents, teachers, administrators, and more importantly, our children. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote on April the 6th.
Thank you, Nick. Mike, 2 minutes to you.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and I'd like to thank Ben and Nick for joining me tonight. I'm Mike Sangeling. 12 years ago, my wife Anna and I moved to Norwood to start our family, and it has proven to be a great place to raise our 2 kids, an 11-year-old daughter at Coakley Middle School and our 9-year-old son at Cleveland Elementary. I coached Norwood Youth Soccer for 5 years, and I serve on the board of the Norwood Parents Music Association. The arts and athletic programs are strong traditions in Norwood. They are how we and so many other families have found a home here. To the supporters of arts and athletics in this town, you will always have a friend in me. I served as parent representative on the superintendent's search committee 2 years ago, and I'm pleased with the results so far. A superintendent who has kept costs steady during a period of high inflation, a successful opening of the beautiful new middle school, and a commitment to communication with parents. But there is more work to be done, and there are hard choices to make. My day job is in communications and customer service, which I think you'll agree are great skills to have on school committee. And in listening to educators and parents over the last few weeks, I've heard that there are a lot of challenges facing our students. But I believe that in the wealthiest state, in the mightiest nation on earth, we have the resources we need. It's just a matter of making the most of every dollar and keeping our students' education as our top priority. I'm running for school committee to protect the tradition of vibrant schools at the center of our community. I believe that strong schools build a strong town, and that is why I am asking for your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump into questions, and we're going to alternate who goes first and a little bit of the order. And so, Nick, you are up first with this question. As a member of the school committee, you will be responsible for maintaining the quality and effectiveness of essential programs, even when faced with budget limitations. How would you prioritize and advocate for the continuation of key programs to ensure they remain vibrant and effective despite budget cuts?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the challenge is that we have to get ahead of the budget cuts. We have to understand where we are getting money, where we think there are potential gaps, and where that money is coming from. There are essential programs that we cannot lose access to. There is increasing challenge with our children in learning in the environments that they're in today. So there may be hard questions and hard decisions to be made, but at the end of the day, if we are open and honest about where cuts need to take place while trying to preserve what is essential to our programs, is really the most important thing from a Norwood School perspective.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you next.
Thank you so much. Budget cuts are always going to be a tough decision, and if the projections of the school committee hold true, then we have some tough choices to make in the next couple of years. I believe that when looking at what to cut, we always have to take a look at data, and we have to look at what outcomes are serving our students. Are there programs that may have made sense 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago that may not necessarily make sense anymore? Where are we getting the biggest bang for our buck for essential programs that are student serving, that are helping them to grow as students, to learn, and to move into the next phase of their lives in the ways that are going to be most beneficial to them and to our town? Those are the hard questions that we need to ask ourselves, and we should be guided by data in making those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you.
Sure thing. It's not always simple math, right? Everything, Kelly talked a lot about finding the trade-offs earlier. And that's what we're going to have to do. We can't just cut because the X number of kids uses this, Y number of kids uses this service. If Y doesn't have a comparable or an adjacent service that could use, then maybe X is a little more important. And those outcomes are important to consider, and it can't all be made in a vacuum. Everything touches everything else.
Okay, thank you. Mike, you're up next for this question. If the costs of education continue to rise, what specific changes or trade-offs would you support?
Thank you so much. As I mentioned, I served on the superintendent search committee 2 years ago, and I am pleased with the superintendent's work to rein in the costs of special education funding. He's done that by taking a look at efficiencies and making sure that that the schools are not sending students on a one-way street out of Norwood to out-of-district placements, that there is a plan if those students can be served here in Norwood to eventually bring them back and bring costs down that way. I believe that there are efficiencies that can be found throughout the district. I feel that also collaborating with other departments throughout the town to pool resources and share resources and find common answers to the budget problems that are facing our entire town, I think that is one way to curtail the spending increases which our schools are facing every single year. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you.
We did have a special education audit, and the results of that are already being seen in the budget that the school committee will vote on this week, before any of us get there. But that is, they have found ways that they can bring students back in district or keep students from being shipped out of district. And I think that continuing to look at those ways and those programs and how we can contribute to those would be fantastic. Always being able to identify also where we can do things in-house and maybe bring some to create programs here that would cost less than shipping students, shipping's a bad word, out. And those could also be a source of income moderately.
Thank you. And Nick, the question to you.
Yeah, I think there's been a significant amount of change in the Norwood School District over the last few years. We've had a pivot from school times to stagger them. We've had a redistricting that's taking place next year. We've had brand new schools being built. There's a little bit of a place where we need to take a step back and sort of rein things in. And how do we work more efficiently as a school district as opposed to individual schools? How do we collect? How do we pool resources in terms of buses? Where we're spending expenditures, how can we look at ways to not duplicate that expenditure? Are there grants? Is there funding that's available to us? Are there other unique situations that we can go out to get funding for after-school activities where we get sponsorship? Again, there's opportunities and resourceful ways that we can look at these different things. But again, like my candidate said, there are difficult decisions. There are answers that need to be asked.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Okay. Next question. Ben, you're up. First, Boston Magazine ranks Norwood High School 77th among the top 100 in Greater Boston. What specific steps would you take to improve academic performance and student outcomes?
Thank you. I think when we look at rankings like that, the one thing that we have to be clear is that when you go from school district to school district, you're not always comparing apples to apples. Norwood has a very different profile than even some of our neighboring towns. We've got roughly around 40% low-income students. So that doesn't compare very well to, say, Sharon. So when we're looking at what the outcomes are, I'm less concerned about rankings and more concerned about how are we serving our students.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Absenteeism is a big and chronic problem in the Norwood schools. And that, to me, is the root of a lot of it. If you're not in school, you're not learning. But why is it such a big problem here in Norwood? As Ben mentioned, we do, as a town, encounter a lot of issues that can contribute to the absentee issue. We have some low-income families in Norwood. Low income means that you may have financial or health or other struggles that prevent you from getting to school. There are students right now in our schools who are afraid to go to school because it, to them, might mean that they might not come home that day. Those are big problems. I think we need to support our students in all aspects of their lives as much as we can. I know we ask the schools to do a lot, but this is a town where educators can work together with families to care for our students.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Ben. Mike, sorry. Sorry, I was just thinking ahead. Nick is up next. Apologies.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure. Boston Magazine ranks Norwood High School 77th among the top 100 in Greater Boston. What specific steps would you take to improve academic performance and student outcomes?
Yeah, I think I echo what my fellow candidates say here. It's important that our kids remain in school, but it's also important that our school systems acknowledge if learning disabilities or challenges or special education that is needed. I think it is increasingly prevalent that many students have learning disabilities that need support. Maybe some people don't test as well as other people. So again, you can look at a ranking, but if you also look at the wonderful people that have come out of the school district and the teachers that are supporting them on a daily basis, there's an opportunity for improvement. There is an opportunity for the community to collaborate as a whole and to make improvements if we all get collectively on the same page.
Okay, thank you. Nick, this question is to you first. And it's on a topic that you've all mentioned about special education and about the costs and the effect on the budget. So how would you advocate for assistance with these costs for special education?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of consolidation, right? I think we have special education sort of sprinkled across. Are there opportunities to integrate? Sometimes special education students find themselves at one school. There's no cross-training across administrators or teachers. There's really an opportunity with special education where we really take the needs of the students, because I think it's an oversight to think that just because someone doesn't act normally in school or needs different requirements, it is a strain on the community. But as a community, we do have a responsibility to our children. We do have a responsibility to our citizens. So it is ever more important that we sort of get our hands wrapped around that and make sure that our resources and our financing behind that is sustained.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you?
Could you repeat the question again?
Sure. It's sort of going off some of all your comments about special education. We've agreed that the costs are rising and affecting the Norwood Public School budget. How would you advocate for assistance with these costs?
I think part of a big part of being on the school committee is to be an advocate for the schools, and one of those pieces is the legislative advisory group. And I would love to be a part of that. I do think that the funding formula in Massachusetts is broken, and that's not just for Norwood, that's for everyone. I would love to be able to work with our rep and our state senator to try and find ways to fix that, and not only kind of pressure them in that direction, but also get from them what they need from us, to be able to come back and say, this is what they need, this is the action they need to see in order to get this moving.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Thank you. I would advocate that the town continue to invest and grow their investment in special education certification and training programs. What this does is this will reward and incentivize educators to gain those credentials to be able to meet the needs of more and more students needing special education services. This will bring costs down in terms of the transportation and out-of-district placement costs, which are the biggest driver of the education and schools budget. I think bringing as much of that back into Norwood as we can in a way that meets the needs of our students is going to be the biggest driver of cost savings in the future, and it's something that we need to invest in as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ben, you're going to be up next for this question. What actions would you take to improve school safety, including reducing bullying and ensuring teacher safety and retention?
Great. The important thing to do is to be in support of our administrators and our teachers. From the school committee room, we don't see what's happening in the schools every day. We're not in there every day, so it's best to get that feedback and let them know that they are supported, and let them know that what actions they want to take are supported. What I don't want to do is get into punishment for the sake of punishment. I think that in a lot of cases, there is an appetite to punish the children who most need to be in that structure. But outside of that, I want to really work and work with and trust the administrators and the teachers in what they need to do.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Thank you. Our school resource officers are such a great feature of the collaboration between our schools and our public safety workers. They are parts of the community. They care so much about our students. My daughter comes home once a week talking about how she played with Mustang Sally. And so that's such a great way to build a rapport between students and police officers. And so I think that continuing to fund that collaboration is a great way to keep our students safe. Now, I was at Norwood High School meeting with some administrators last week, and we had, there was an emergency that happened during the short period of time that I was there, and a student had to be taken away via ambulance to a hospital. I was told this kind of situation happens on average 3 times a week at the high school, and the reason for some of this is that there simply is not enough mental health support at our high school, and that is what our kids need more than anything else right now.
Okay. Thank you, Nick. All right.
Mike, one more time.
Oh, my gosh.
It's okay.
Mike. Okay. Nick, it's up to you.
Yeah. So safety is key. I think there's been increasing safety concerns at some of the schools. Like Mike had indicated, and what is even more prevalent now than ever before are concerns with mental health and the sort of mental well-being of our students. But it goes beyond that, right? What are our kids doing outside of school? The prevalence of social media and sort of sitting behind a web page and making statements in terms of bullying. I think there needs to be some proactive approach, keeping our kids busy after schools, multiple after-school activities so that kids aren't wandering on their phones aimlessly, which sort of just leads to sort of more emotional breakdowns. It's extremely important that we sort of train our children that the internet is forever. We need to be safe and inclusive as an environment and a school community to make sure that everybody has a learning environment that works.
Thank you. Okay. Mike, you're up next. This question. What policies would you be in favor of implementing to place clearly defined parameters around the use of AI by students and staff?
Thank you for that. What we need to consider is a full-on bell-to-bell ban on digital devices like phones and tablets during the school day at the high school, at the middle school, and even at the elementary school. Right now, AI is the Wild West. It has some phenomenal applications, but I think before we set our students loose on AI, we need to really think about how we're going to use it in the classroom, how we're going to accept work turned in using AI as an assistant. I am not against AI as a whole, but I do think that in the classroom, there need to be specific written guidelines made clear at the beginning of every school year on what is acceptable, how much of it can be used in terms of research and output, and those expectations need to be clear to students at the beginning.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Nick, you're up next.
Yeah, I think there are a number of issues with devices. I also think that we haven't really made any policy changes and that the sort of rate of advancement of technology is sort of outpacing even our response to any policy updates for that matter. It's easy to say no devices. I think that sort of loses a little steam when you're talking about high school kids who have very busy calendars, are very busy, and they only have a device or something to communicate back to their parents to let them know where they are. I have a different take around AI in that an outright ban is just not realistic. I think it's an opportunity to revisit our electronic and our technology policies to see how we can prepare our children and our students for this future in technology that isn't going away, is going to become much more prevalent. and prepare them for adequate use of those tools in the future, as opposed to outright telling them they can't.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you.
These are meetings that I have at work a lot, and it seems like every time we sort of get our arms around AI, it squeezes out. AI is a very big moving target. But where we've settled, because again, we can't, as much as some of us would like to say, just don't use it, that doesn't feel realistic anymore. So what we can do is work on coaching for proper use, coaching around keeping your work private, and which AI clients are and are not taking data from our students, and working with students on safely using AI. Not all of these spit out exactly what you want them to for the mental health of our students and for just good research.
Okay, thank you. All right. Next question. Nick, you'll be up first. When the redistricting of the elementary schools is complete, do you believe this will solve the issue of overcrowding in our schools? And if not, what should be our next steps?
So we're sort of at the point where we have a new high school, we have a brand new junior high, we've redistricted and moved our kindergarten school classrooms around back to the original elementary, and we have a new elementary school. I don't think people are naive to the fact that most of the elementary schools are very dated. They need significant upgrades, summer, heating systems, air conditioning. There are going to be more conversations that come up with redistricting, and if the population growth continues to expand, there's potentially going to be room for more classes that need to take place. But it's difficult decisions, and I'd like to avoid moving to more redistricting since we've had so many changes over the last few years.
Thank you. And Mike, the question to you.
Sure. I think any strategic plan that is built for long-term needs to address where our populations are going to grow, whether our current transportation needs are going to be enough to get kids to the schools that they are assigned to, and whether those facilities are going to be adequate for the continued growth of this town, and that any plan that is undertaken needs to account for a long-term plan for population growth. Our schools are wonderful places for our kids to spend their days, but as we've seen, they require a lot of upkeep. They are used for so much more than just schools. They are used year-round, weekends, and any plan that is put into place needs to address all of those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you.
The school committee will likely be asking for a building study coming soon, and that's not an immediate thing, but that is looking at the health of all the elementary schools over the next 10, 20, 30, even 40 years, so that we do have a mapped out road for where our kids are going to be going to school. I think that's going to involve work through in between departments so that we can, as Mike said, figure out where the student populations are growing and how best to serve those communities. But the end result of that study should be, and what I would love to work on, is what that 10, 20, 30, 40-year plan looks like.
Okay, thank you. All right, our last question before we get to closing statements, and we're going to start with you, Mike. The school committee requires regular committee work as well as specialized subcommittee and townwide committee work. Which committees would you want to be on, and why would you be a good addition?
Sure. I am not a numbers guy, but I am a details guy. I would love to be part of the budget subcommittee. I think that it all starts from the budget. That is how you set priorities for the schools, and that is how you keep an eye on exactly what the schools are working on. That is one that I would love to be on. I would also put my hat in the ring for the Legislative Advocacy Committee. I think we have a lot of work to do in getting our representatives on Beacon Hill to be a little more responsive to the needs of the town of Norwood. And there is a lot that can be done on the state level that would benefit Norwood more than it has, and I would jump at the chance to join that committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ben, the question to you.
I spoke a little bit about legislative advocacy. I would love to be the school committee rep to capital outlay. That's one that I've had my eye on during 7 years in town meeting. And just being able to use that spot to see how the school system can be a steward to the larger community. There's a lot of great facilities with the high school, with the new middle school, that can be of greater use to the town, and finding ways to bring that in and bring more of the community to have a pride in Norwood schools. I would also love to be on the Student Advisory Council. Sitting there with actual high school students, advocating for what they want, teaching them about good responsive government and all the ways that local government touches their lives. And yes, I would also like to be on the budget subcommittee, getting in there. When I make the offer for people to come in with their curiosity, the best way to have those answers is to sit with the budget subcommittee and see the work that's being done there.
Thank you. And Nick?
Yep. I would be involved in the budget subcommittee. You know, a lot of times numbers hit a spreadsheet. I want to talk to principals. I want to talk to teachers. I want to talk to program directors. I want to understand what cuts mean in a classroom, what cuts mean in the town, who's going to be impacted. I feel that community voice has to be very meaningful, not just a public comment period, but, you know, really having conversations on the front lines with parents, at sporting events, with teachers, and understanding where trade-offs are unavoidable, that we can have honest conversations about that. And I'd like to give Norwood families a clear-eyed picture than pretend every choice is easy.
Great. Thank you. We are ready for closing statements. They're a minute apiece, and we'll go in reverse order from the way we started. So that means, Mike, you are up first for 1 minute closing statement.
Thank you so much. We are fortunate to live in a town that has strong traditions, including a vibrant community that has always supported our schools. At a time when our kids' future is as uncertain as ever, this is no time to turn away from them. I have a track record of working on behalf of public education. With my skills in communications and customer service, I believe I can be an advocate for strong Norwood schools. Strong schools will keep Norwood an attractive place for families to put down roots. Strong schools will keep the costs of public safety and public health down. Strong schools will keep our bleachers full on Friday nights and seats full at the Paul Alberta Auditorium for our fall musical. Strong schools build leaders and community members that will give back to our town and keep our traditions alive. Strong schools build a strong town. I'm Mike Sangalang. I am proud to be part of this community, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Nick, to you?
Yep. I want to close with something very simple. I'm not running for the seat to advance a political career or to win an argument. I'm running because Norwood schools matter to my family very deeply, and because I think I have something real to contribute. 2 kids, a wife in the district, a career built on solving complex problems with honesty and rigor. That's what I'd bring to the table. The coming years are going to be hard for school communities across the state. Federal uncertainty, tighter budgets, technology that's outpacing our policies, kids who need more support than they've ever needed. I want to be the kind of school committee member who earns your trust by doing the homework, asking the hard questions, and being straight with you about what's really going on. If you give me the chance, I will not let you or Norwood down. Thank you, and please vote for Nick Palang for Norwood School Committee on April 6th.
Thank you. And Ben?
I'd like to once again thank the League of Women Voters, Norwood Community Media, and everyone who's taken the time to watch. When I tell people I want to be on the school committee, the joke is always that they come in close and they look me in the eye and they ask, "Are you sure?" And we all have a good laugh, but I understand that the underlying question is, do you understand the enormity of the role? Do you understand the enormity of what is coming? And I want to take this opportunity to seriously tell you that, yes, I want to serve on the Norwood School Committee. I want to do the hard work ahead to make sure that Norwood schools continue to be a source of pride for students, parents, and the wider community. I want to put my 2 decades of experience helping build outstanding learning environments towards that goal. Norwood has been so great to my family, and this is an opportunity for me to be great to Norwood. I appreciate your consideration, and if I've earned it, your vote on April 6th.
Thank you. And to Norwood voters, you have 3 candidates here. You will be voting for 2 at town election. We have Ben Mosier, Nick Palang, and Mike Sangalang. And I know you join me in thanking them all for putting themselves forward. So thank you, gentlemen. We will be taking a short break, and we'll come back with candidates for the Board of Selectmen. Welcome back, Norwood voters. We are here now with 3 candidates for the Board of Selectmen. You'll be voting for 2 in the upcoming election. The 3 candidates are Michael Saad, David Bliss, and Cheryl Doyle. And we're going to start, as we did with the others, with 2-minute opening statements from each candidate. So Michael Saad, to you, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Sarah and the entire team, NCM, Jack Tolman and his team here tonight. Norwood is a unique community. You've heard it from the planning board members, the FinCom members. Everybody cares about Norwood. I care about Norwood. As a Board of Selectmen for re-election, the first 3 years you have a lot of learning experience. The experience is you're the police commissioner, the parks commissioner, the light commissioner. There's a lot of hats you wear. But a little background is I have a wonderful wife, Tammy, 4 kids, a big family, 7 brothers and sisters, and I have a 101-year-old mother last week that it takes a lot of time. But I love Norwood. There's a lot of big things ahead of us. We lost a legend, and my condolences to Patrick and the McDonough family, and a wonderful speech by George Yusevich. We just lost a hero from Norwood, my good friend Tim McDonough. There's a lot of big projects that are on the table for Norwood. Factory Mutual, a big shining light college in Norwood, Moderna, and we got to open Norwood Hospital. We got to fight the governor. We got to fight the state. We've got Congressman Lynch, Rush, and Rogers fighting hard for us with our task force. It's a lot of work. I love Norwood. I love the people of Norwood. And I think in the next 3 years, I've settled down. I think there's some big changes coming for Norwood. I'm hoping that will be part of that. I want to thank the citizens for Norwood. April 6th, vote happy, be sad. Or vote sad, be happy. So it's a great day for Norwood. I appreciate it that day. Everybody get out and vote. And thank you for all your work and the Norwood NCM and the League of Women Voters.
Thank you. And Dave, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. I'm Dave Bliss, a candidate for selectman. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight and my fellow candidates here. I've been in Norwood now for 11 years. I call Norwood my home. Norwood has so much to offer, and I want to keep it that way. I'm new to the political scene. Watching from the sidelines, I decided to get involved. Many issues coming forward for the town. I bring fresh ideas, collaboration, and most of all, common sense, and get results for all the residents of Norwood. I support strong public safety, provide the tools and resources needed for proper staffing, health and safety of our firefighters and police officers, and make sure our firefighters are at a national standard, the NFPA 1710. Collaboration on budget policy, being fiscally responsible with declining new growth and rising costs. Our budgets need to stop being responsible in how we allocate our spending. We need a plan. I don't think we have one at the moment, but I think we need one. If elected, one of the first things I will do is I will call for a joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Commission, and the School Committee to get together at the table and set up goals and objectives, set up a blueprint of where we want this the next couple of years to look financially. Economic development, working on increasing our commercial tax base, and affordable housing for people wanting to stay in Norwood to live. Working with our senior citizens so that no senior is left behind. I will work every day for all the residents of Norwood and make this a better town than it was yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you. And Cheryl, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for doing this again this year, and NCM for hosting this. And thank you to my fellow candidates, to my right. So a lot of people know that I volunteer for a lot of boards. I was 8 years on the Conservation Commission. I'm currently on the Historical Commission, currently on the Community Preservation Committee. I was on the 1.5 Task Force, been a town meeting member for 16 years. I'm currently also on the Town Meeting Rules Committee. And outside of the town, I'm a member of the Neponset Valley Sunrise, and that's another volunteer where you give back to communities. I was in the Navy for 9 years. When I got out, I could have moved anywhere in the United States or out of country, but I decided to give Norwood a chance. I had lived here, but then I went to New Hampshire and I realized I needed to come back to Norwood. Both my children grew up through the school system from elementary. Both of them graduated from Norwood High School. My job is very unique in the fact that I manage commercial property, but I also hold a commercial construction license, and I think it gives me a unique opportunity to be able to help sustain some of the commercial industries and find unique ways to bring new businesses into our town.
Thank you. All right, we're going to jump into our questions. Dave, we'll start with you first. This is a two-parter. As a selectman, you play a vital role in ensuring that the public stays informed about matters that directly affect the community. How would you communicate important information about the town issues to residents?
Thank you. I think that's a very good question. I think a lot of it is we need a little bit more transparency with the board and amongst the people. One of the things I would like to do, it'll be monthly or bi-monthly, come up with a newsletter of everything that we've accomplished, things that are coming up in town, and send it out with the light bill or the cable bill or what have you, to communicate with the people, keep them up to date of what's going on in town. I think that's very important. I think us keeping the public aware of what's going on in town, I think it's extremely important.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you.
Can you repeat it, please?
Sure. As a selectman, you play a vital role in ensuring that the public stays informed about matters that directly affect the community. How would you communicate important information about town issues to residents?
I believe that we should have like an open door policy. And I think the people in town should be able to approach any of the selectmen or email them and give concern and have open dialogue going back and forth. Our town manager does send out a monthly letter it's more than a letter. It recaps everything that has gone on that month in the town. And I think we'd be able to reach more of our community and have a way to put that on our town website to allow people to be able to read and be able to do like a snapshot in time of everything that's going on from all the different departments and et cetera.
Thank you. And Michael, question to you.
As a member of the Board of Selectmen, as a new member, I constantly ask the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to bring up the DPW head, bring up the Cable Commission, whatever it is we need to bring these people up, so people can see the face that's behind the scene. We need to get more transparency, open door at the manager's office. People want to go in there and see him. We need to have that door open more often. I think we need to communicate more with the public of the Norwood Hospital, the construction of the Moderna and Factory Mutual. These are huge projects in front of us at Norwood. They're just nothing but great things for Norwood. There's more to come. All the candidates here tonight have mentioned the crown jewel of the Commonwealth. If they moved to Norwood because they picked Norwood, Norwood's a great town. We just need to communicate a little better as the Board of Selectmen and the manager to make the leadership that we have with the school committee and the FinCom to make it all unique and surprisingly communicable.
Well, that's a good segue to the second part of this question. Cheryl, you're going to be first on this, though. Sorry, Michael. Consider how you would keep the community updated on the status of Norwood Hospital. What methods or strategies would you use to ensure transparency and regular communication with the public throughout this process?
That's a really good question. It's also a very tough question because there are so many people involved from the town level, the state level, and everything else. It might help, like, if we could do, like, a briefing through NCM, because a lot of people in town do watch it, and maybe our town manager or the chair of the selectmen would be able to give a briefing. We also could use the town website to do briefings. I think complete transparency and communications through any type of media that we have is a good thing.
Thank you. And Michael, back to you.
I got to tell you, I'm pretty proud of this question because Jimmy Garrity and myself, pushing the board a little bit, the members to get involved and get more communications out there at the hospital. This is the number one project for Norwood and our surrounding communities. We set up a little meeting with Congressman Lynch, Mike Rush, and John Rogers at the State House initially about a year ago, and we pushed this envelope. We told them, we got to get moving here, and we got to get you off the chairs, and we got to get something done at Norwood Hospital and get the ball moving. We started the ball rolling, and now the town's set up a task force with the governor, and we're pushing her. And we had billboards on Route 1. We've got rallies at the Norwood Day. We're pushing it as hard as we can, but the governor seems to think, why do we need a hospital in Norwood? She doesn't think we need one, but we need one, and we're going to get a hospital in Norwood, as far as I'm concerned, in the next year, hopefully at this point.
Thank you. And Dave, the question to you?
The same. I think the transparency is a big thing, letting the people know what's going on. We have to keep the people in tune to what's going on beyond the doors. The open door policy, I totally agree with. The other thing, too, I think would be beneficial is somehow develop part of the selectmen's meeting, like the school committee does, the public agenda, allowing people to come to the selectmen meetings. Because right now, nobody really goes. To have the people come to the selectmen meetings, see what's going on, and have a section of that meeting on the agenda that they can have some input to the board, any of their concerns that they want to have, so we can keep an open dialogue. Transparency is definitely big and very important.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next question. Michael, you're up next and first. The Norwood Fire and Rescue Department is currently experiencing several operational challenges, including understaffing, a limited number of ambulances, and a shortage of vital equipment. As a selectman, what approaches would you consider to help increase the number of firefighters in the department? In addition, What specific steps would you take to support the department in acquiring more ambulances and securing the necessary equipment to enhance emergency response capabilities and overall public safety? It's a big question.
Another
in a
great
minute.
question. I'm going to answer it the best I can. Being on the Board of Selectmen, I'm pushing the envelope constantly that these apartment complexes come to Norwood, invading us. I spoke at town meeting. Every 500 people that come to Norwood, you need an extra fireman or policeman. Well, we're at that stage now. So now the fact is, we've got to support our police department, our fire department. You watch the news, Norwood's constantly in the news. Good or bad, it's in the news. We have to support our police department. It's a very tough situation that's out there with the situation with the kids, the people in the streets, the crime, the stuff that's going on. We're not isolated from that here in Norwood. The fire department, our ambulances is going back and forth for hours and hours, going back and forth to BI, Boston. Maybe we should put a little burden on the developers and ask them for a new fire station, new ambulance, or a fire apparatus, or a police car. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we can put it donated by such and such company. But we got to start asking these big employees that come to Norwood for a little help and a little assistance, because we're helping them, they got to help us.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you?
I hate to ask you to repeat it, but could you?
Yeah, sure. The Norwood Fire and Rescue Department is currently experiencing several operational challenges, including understaffing, a limited number of ambulances, and a shortage of vital equipment. As a selectman, what approaches would you consider to help increase the number of firefighters in the department? In addition, what specific steps would you take to support the department in acquiring more ambulances and securing the necessary equipment to enhance emergency response capabilities and overall public safety?
Okay. I support our firemen and our EMTs. In fact, every year when we have the information night for town meeting, I ask the question, do we have enough staffing? And it's always been put to me, we have enough staffing. And I don't believe we've ever had enough of our staff. And I think a few years back, if we would have started then hiring people, we would have been able to get the staff up to the numbers that we need. I think the select board works with like capital outlay, because we need to know like how many miles are we running on these ambulances and the fire trucks and everything else, and how many years out does it take to get these vehicles equipped properly for the staff to be able to use. I think anything that the fire department needs, I think we should back them up.
Thank you. And Dave, the question to you.
Certainly, the staffing with the fire department is the number one priority for me. They're understaffed. The calls are skyrocketing. If you look back in 1977, Norwood Fire did over 2,000 runs a year. Today, in 2026, there are over 7,600 runs with the same amount of staffing, 2 ambulances. The staffing is important. They need more staffing. The ambulance, town of Norwood hasn't really bought an ambulance in quite some time, because the money that we use for the receipts that we get for ambulance runs helps pay for an ambulance. The number one priority right now is the staffing. We need to get the staffing up to where it belongs. We need to be at that standard, the NFPA 1710. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Our next question, Dave, you're going to be first on this. The MWRA has proposed legislation that could increase the cost of water for Norwood ratepayers by as much as 14%. Norwood's town manager and current Board of Selectmen have voiced opposition to the legislation. What course of action would you propose to either support or oppose this legislation?
Well, I certainly oppose it. The last thing we need is more fees on our residents. I think everyone's paying enough. What can we do to do it? We need to be vocal, opposition to that proposal. I know the town manager came out strong with it, with the selectmen. I would continue to do that. We need to meet with them, do whatever we have to do, but to raise rates again on the water rates is absurd. And then the town's people in town can't afford that.
Thank you. And Michael, the question to you.
Being on the board, I kind of know Fred Lasky from the MWRA. I'm totally against 14%. I think the cost of living is 3% or the inflation rate that they index everything on. So when they say 14%, I said, where's our 3%? I think we got to get John Rogers and Mike Rush and Congressman Lynch involved. I think we got to put pressure on the MWRA and say, hey, listen, enough's enough. Some of your wasteful spending and exorbitant expenses, you're throwing it back on the taxpayers and the people that are in your system. And we have to just say to them, no, we want to work out a program with them, maybe add a different town to our system, help out a little bit, but we need to get creative on our water, because water is super expensive like utilities right now, and there's no way it's going down.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you?
Yes. I agree with what Mr. Sad has said. I think 14% is a ridiculous amount of money because of the fact that if you just get a glass of water, you're charged on that glass of water, but you're also charged a sewer rate on that water. But it's not going down the sewer. It's going in our body. And I hope that our town manager and the select board will be able to meet with the MWRA and have open conversations to let them know that the town of Norwood cannot support this. It's an unfair increase, and it should stay down around 2 or 3% if they're going to do any increases at all.
Okay, thank you. All right, a new question. Michael, you'll be up first. At the March 10th, 2026 Board of Selectmen meeting, fiscal year 27 goals were proposed and approved, one of which was launching an affordable housing program aimed at increasing home ownership. Could you explain how you might make that happen?
Well, I've been pushing that for the last 3 years. You think about the North Junior High, we call it the Savage Center now. There's a big circle around there that they spent $575,000 to tar it. We could have made a straight road and had all that extra land to put affordable housing for our seniors, over 55 or whatever you want to call it. We have a lot of parcels in Norwood where I've pushed, they want to sell them, I don't want to sell it. I want to put affordable housing on there. I think we can get Blue Hills to help us. The building, we spend a lot of money over there. It's similar to the cannon in front of the town hall. $130,000 to repair a cannon in the town hall, absurd. I'm not with it. I'm not for it. I think we pay enough to the Blue Hill system where these kids are going there to learn how to build and remodel and do things. They can at least go over there and spend some time at the town hall with our cannon and refurbish it and repoint it and repair the wheels to save us a little bit of money and put that to the school system or somewhere we need an extra $100,000, $110,000. So I think affordability in Norwood is a big thing. We're 63% of apartments. It's got to stop.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you?
I've been working with one of the selectmen on that, and I have met several times with them because there's a lot of communities that go and they submit a grant application to the community preservation, and they normally get seed money for like around $100,000. You can take that money and then reinvest it so that younger generation people will be able to come up with a down payment on a home and be able to get in the house. It's not that they don't make enough income for the mortgage, it's coming up with a down payment. And I think if we had also like 55 and older living, it will free up a lot of our housing stock for the generation that's coming behind us to be able to raise their families. And I think it's very important to also work with a lot of the local banks in the area and see low interest loans or zero interest loans for the first 2 years and then move it forward from there.
Thank you. And Dave, the question to you.
Sure. I think housing is a big issue. The affordability issue is big. The rents are extremely high. So we have to do something. The 55 and over community is much needed in this town. What are the seniors going to do? Seniors are in their homes now. They're reaching the age where they're not going to be able to afford to own their own home anymore. So if the affordable housing or the 55 and over community would be a big help to them. I think that we need to approach this as maybe create a subcommittee with the board and come up with ideas on how we can advance the housing issue in town.
Thank you. All right, our next question. Cheryl, you're up first. Norwood's town manager is appointed, not elected, yet holds significant day-to-day authority over town operations. Do you believe the current balance of power between the town manager and the Board of Selectmen is appropriate? And if not, what specific changes would you make to ensure stronger accountability?
That's a tough question. That's really tough. Well, since the select board is elected, I think they should have the final say on a lot of things, and I think they should be holding our town manager accountable for things, whether it's decisions on what's going on with our buildings or different properties and things like that. I know in the last year they've gotten much better at it, and they do like a report card on him now, and they do a review, so I think that's moving in the right direction. But I think there's more that could actually be done.
Okay, thank you. And Dave, the question to you.
Sure. Well, first of all, the town manager does report to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen is his boss. According to the town charter, he runs the day-to-day operations of the town. Any major events that come up or decisions that have to be made should come to the selectmen, I think, to make the final choice. But pretty much the town manager runs the town, is according to the town charter. So any changes we make with the town manager or anything, we'd have to do something with the town charter. But I think for right now, I think with the town manager and with the selectmen, I think it's working okay.
Thank you. And Michael, a question to you.
I got to say, if you watch TV and know it, you'll know that I hold Tony's feet to the fire most of the time. And I want to say he's a brilliant man. He's sharp, articulate. I like him. I said he's got to be more an open door with people in the town of Norwood. I think that the working for the Board of Selectmen, I think he understands that. I think with the board, we have a strong board that kind of keeps his feet to the fire. And I know the next term will keep his feet to the fire a little bit more. And to say there's some big projects that we have to deal with, but everybody's different in their own way and they have their own style of management. But I do think that Tony understands he works for the board and he's just reappointed by the board and signed his contract. But I think the town of Norwood is the town of Norwood. We have to worry about as selectmen, the seniors, the veterans, the taxpayers, the water rate payers. So there's a multitude of things that we have to work in collaboration with him. And I want to just say one thing, what we have it here, we're missing a big, tomorrow night's Bill Plasko's last meeting. It was a privilege to work with him for these 3 years. He's, in his own ways, brilliant, articulate.
I'm sorry, I think you're going to have to save whatever
thank
you're...
you. I'll say it at
We're
the
moving
end.
on to the
Thank
next
you.
question. Okay. Dave, you're up next for this next question. The planning board recently rejected a proposed housing development at 55 Lenox Street, at least partly due to the project's proposed use of mechanical lifts for parking. Do you agree with their decision, and what should the role of the Board of Selectmen be in this project going forward, including the lawsuit filed by the developers?
Well, first of all, the whole MBTA Housing Act that was passed and that's being forced upon us by the state, I'm totally against. I don't think the state should be forcing us or any community on how to build and what to build and where to build and stuff like that. I think it should be up to each community. We know what we want in this town. We don't need the state telling us what to build, where to build it. We know housing's an issue. We're not denying that, but we don't need to be forced to build places. The thing with Lenox Street, the planning board made a decision. They voted, and now currently it's in litigation with the town and the builder. I'm against it. I'm against that building. 5 stories is way too high. We want to build something, we can build something, but we need to build something that's compatible to that community, to that neighborhood. That's not a very good spot for that neighborhood at all.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you.
I went to a lot of those planning board meetings to stick up for the neighborhoods in the Lenox Street area. I don't believe we should have ever had those overlays because of the fact that we already had apartments at every single one of our train stops already in town. And I think we should have been able to fight the state on it. I'm proud of our planning board for standing up to a developer that just wanted to go ahead and build something so big on a little bitty postage stamp lot. And I think the town council and I think the selectman and town manager and that should be behind our planning board. And I think it's very important because I don't think any board should be bullied by a developer in this town ever.
Thank you. And Michael, the question to you.
I agree with Cheryl and David, but I'll tell you, I voted against the MBT 3A Act. I don't think the state should ever tell a town what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and what size to build it. I think Governor Healy made a huge mistake. We know there's an affordability problem with Norwood or Needham or Wellesley. Any town that has, there's only so much land. God only made so much land. But the fact is, the state came in and told us what to build, where to build it, and where to put it. And we shouldn't have done it. We should have fought with the other towns that fought it and take the fight and see what happens. We have got a lot of apartment complexes coming to Norwood. We got Lennox Street, 200 apartments. Hoyle Street, 200 apartments. Lennox Street, 100 apartments. We're going to get inundated with apartments, and you know what? They're not affordable. They're $3,000 for a one-bedroom and $4,000 for a two-bedroom. I think the fact is that we, as a town, cave in too much. You got to just say no once in a while. I think the planning board said no. That's their prerogative. I'll stand by them. Being on the Board of Selectmen, if we're being sued, well, that's fine. We have our own lawyers. We'll see you in court.
Okay, thank you. Next question, Cheryl, you'll be first. Home prices, and this is building on what we've been talking about with affordable housing. Home prices and rents in Massachusetts are among the highest in the nation, with the median single-family home in Norwood now over $750,000. Rising costs are pushing longtime residents and their children out of town. The current average rent is over $2,600 per month. Do you believe Norwood is affected by the regional housing crisis? And if so, what policies would you support as an elected official to both reduce housing costs for renters and prospective homeowners and better protect current residents from displacement? And that's to you, Cheryl, first.
Well, first of all, our median income is based off of Boston. We should really be based off of Quincy. There's no way in the world that our community has that high of salaries across the board to maintain everything. If you go on to renters.com any day of the week, any week, there's between 250 and 300 available apartments that are available for rent. The only way we're ever going to drive the rent down is we need the 55 community in order to bring the seniors out of their homes into that community, and then to have more housing for young people, which will start driving it down. Because if you look like at Avalon, Campanelli, or any of these big developers, they have an algorithm that is controlling the rent and having it stop.
Okay, thank you. Michael, the question to you.
I think we're in a tough spot. Being a remodeler back in the old days, when I first started out at 17, the rents for Norwood was $600 for a 1 or 2 bedroom. It's the way of nature. The inflation gets built in. If you look back and you said when you bought your house 40, 30 years ago, you paid $200,000-300,000. Now it's $1 million or $750,000. That's the nature of the beast in real estate. It's your biggest asset. It's not like buying a lollipop. But I think we can be creative, like on Bahama Drive with the co-op. They have a co-op down there, and as that moves, we can build a couple others around town, get some affordability. I mean, we've got to do something. We've got a great senior center with all the Norwood Housing, the board with Sean. They do a great job. We have over 500 units. I mean, we're doing our share. Norwood is the number 3 town for rent expenses, income and expenses for their rent price in the town of state of Massachusetts. Cambridge is number 1, Somerville's number 2, and Norwood's number 3.
Thank you. And Dave, the question to you.
Well, it's definitely it's a tough question, a very difficult situation. Rents are too high. The only thing really is being on the board, the selectmen can probably do is maybe look at rent control, but I don't think there's an appetite for that. So it's a tough one. It's a tough question.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're moving on to a new subject, actually. And Michael, you're going to go first. How do you rate your everyday interaction with Norwood community members outside of your own circle of friends and colleagues? How would you expand this to get more input from residents with whom you don't already have relationships?
I got to tell these two to my left, get your cell phone ready, charge it up, because you're going to get a lot of phone calls. I get probably 30 phone calls a day from residents, seniors, people about potholes, fences hit by the plows. You're going to be inundated, trust me, and I hope you are. But it's a good thing. You communicate with the residents. They talk to you. They know where I am. They communicate as far as what their problems are, what they see, what the problems are. People know. They call me Mr. Happy. I'm always out in the community. I coach a lot, sports in my younger days, but I know them all, and they just communicate with me and say, hey, Mike, we got a problem. They see the problem. They look at the TV. We know we have some crime problems in Norwood, but we'll get them all under control.
Thank you. And Dave, the question to you?
Sure. I think that's important. Besides when I mentioned about the newsletter and having more input on selectmen's meetings, I will make myself accessible to the people. That's who I work for. I work for the people of Norwood. Whether it's monthly or bi-monthly, I will establish a time, night hours that I will be available, whether it be at the town hall or the senior center. Well, I will invite the public to come see me, bring their issues or concerns to me. We can communicate that way, but I'll always be accessible to the people of Norwood.
Thank you. And Cheryl, to you?
I'm not a selectman right now, but I have a lot of people that do approach me, or different districts will ask if I'll show up at a zoning meeting or a planning meeting, and they'll say what's going on in their neighborhood. When I'm in the grocery store, I have people that'll stop me and ask questions. I still get asked questions about conservation questions since I was on it for 8 years. I get phone calls now, I get emails now. In the summertime, when I'm out in my yard, whether it's weeding or attending to the different plants and shrubs, people stop by, they come up and talk to me, and I don't mind talking with people. I have a gift of gab anyways, because my kids said no matter where I go, I'll just strike up conversations with people, so I'm a people person.
Thank you. Dave, you're up next for this question. Besides the regular Board of Selectmen meetings, which subcommittees would you like to be involved in and why?
Probably number one, I'd be with the budget committee. I'm sort of a numbers guy, so I like to be involved with the budget. And probably economic development would probably be the two ones for me. I think economic development is very important. We have to pursue and to strengthen the commercial tax base in town, and attract more business, whether it's big or small. We need more business in town, so I would be interested in that.
Thank you. And Michael, to you?
I'm currently appointed to the Balance and Budget Committee. I'm going to find out some of the numbers and work with the FinCom, and I'm pretty impressed with Tim Luff and the school committee with the superintendent. He seems like a sharp guy, committed. I'm committed to the school program, the FinCom. We got to balance the budget. We got to help the taxpayers. We got to remember them. It's not all just the police or fire or the DPW. It's the whole base as a selectman. You got to deal with the whole community as a whole because you represent the whole community. So I think the fact is that the Balance and Budget Committee, which I'm on, and I'm on a few other little side committees, and the Fish and Derby, I've been doing that for 37 years, and we'll have it on April 25th, but I still think that there's a lot to do, and sometimes you really don't get the time to do it, because you don't only get stretched out so many times in a day for meetings and seminars and things you go to, but you do the best you can.
Thank you. And Cheryl, the question to you.
I would like to stay on the Community Preservation Commission because you need a selectman rep on it by Mass General Law, and I started on it in 2016, so I feel I have a lot to offer there, and it seems to be one of those committees people don't like to be on. And I would like the economic development because it falls in line what I do as a living, and working with my boss, we've learned to be very creative on getting different businesses into his 5+ buildings, and we're able to retain them. So I know a lot of the ideas and stuff like that. And then if there's any other committee that needs somebody to fill in on, I'm more than happy to step up at the plate and be a team player with them.
Thank you. All right. Last question. You're almost done. Last question before closing statements. Michael, you'll be first. Not all Board of Selectmen members complete the evaluation for the town manager every year. Do you find the role of evaluating the town manager important or not, and why?
Well, you know, somebody brought that to my attention the other day about that, and we deal with executive session. I don't know how that gets out, but it gets out. So the fact here is sometimes you just leave it alone, in my opinion. Sometimes if you have a disagreement with somebody or a problem or an issue, you just leave it alone and you deal with it in your own way. And that's how I deal with it. I don't think you have to fill out a form or give an evaluation of somebody to degrade them or to praise them, and just, you know, talk to them on the side or her and say, this is what I think and this is where we're going and this is the direction I want to go in, and that's where we go.
Okay, thank you. And Cheryl?
I think it's a good tool, actually. It's like taking a temperature of where the town manager's at and what he's thinking and where he would like the town to go in. And because it's a 5-member board, it's 5 different opinions. And I don't think if you're going to do it, I don't think you should have a motion in it. I think you should leave that part out of it and keep it strictly business and just use it as a working tool.
Thank you. And Dave, question to you.
I support the evaluation. I think everyone should have checks and balances. The manager does report to the board, so I think he should be evaluated. It doesn't have to be negative. It could be positive. It doesn't have to be too stringent. But evaluation, I think, can help him, and I think it helps the board as well, to make sure that everyone's on the same page. But I support the evaluation. I think everyone should have one. It's a good tool to use.
Thank you. All right. We are ready for closing statements, which are a minute each, and we're going to go in reverse order from the way we started, which means, Cheryl, you are up first.
Go first. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in and was watching this and that, and I would love to have your vote when the voting stations open up in that, and I will not disappoint you as a selectman. I'm not afraid of hard work. I always come to every committee meeting that I go to. I do my homework. I read every document that we have been given, and I will do it for the selectmen as well. And I will be there for the people in town, and I'm willing to listen to their concerns and be able to help them out. And I'd also be willing to help out our other boards that sometimes they get put underneath the magnifying glass, and I think we need to support them and everybody work as a team.
Thank you. And Dave, 1 minute to you.
Thank you. I certainly would ask for your vote on April 6th to become a member of the Board of Selectmen. If elected, I will work collaboratively with people to get things done. I won't just be someone to occupy a chair at a table. I'll be someone who gets things done. And I will work for the people of Norwood every single day. I will work hard at that every single day. So you have a choice. We can either vote, stay status quo, or we can vote to make some changes and get some fresh ideas in there. Someone who will work every day to make changes needed and to use common sense. I have a plan for Norwood to move forward, and I want to use that. So my goals here are the fresh ideas, bring collaboration and common sense, and I'll always be here for the people of Norwood. I appreciate your vote on April 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, 1 minute to you.
I want to thank the citizens of Norwood, my friends, my family, the supporters, the people that make Norwood great. Norwood's a great community. You heard it from all these candidates tonight, the two to my left. It's a super town. We have a lot to be thankful for in Norwood. We've got a great commercial base. We've got a huge college coming to Norwood, Factory Mutual. I'm just settling into the office, and I got to tell you right now, tell the people of Norwood, the seniors and the veterans and the taxpayers, buckle up. The next 3 years are going to be fun. Enjoy it. April 6th, vote for Michael Sad. Thank you.
Okay. In closing, thank you all for tuning in this evening, and thank you to our candidates and our moderator for an informative and engaging conversation. As a reminder, the municipal election will take place Monday, April 6th. Polls will open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. at your district's polling place. There is still time to request an absentee ballot, and one can be requested through the town clerk's website by calling the town clerk's office at 781-762-1240, extension 6029, or by emailing the league at lwvnorwoodma@gmail.com. Applications for an absentee ballot must be received by Monday, March 30th. You can view a sample ballot for your district by visiting the town clerk's website. Of note, while there are multiple districts with contested town meeting races, many districts will have unfilled seats. If you are interested in running for town meeting as a write-in candidate, please reach out to the town clerk or the league for more information. Remember that every election is determined by the people who show up. Your vote matters. Thank you.
Rosario, and I'm running for re-election for constable. Over the past 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving the town of Norwood as one of 2 elected constables. I've worked with many local lawyers, property owners, and property management companies to provide a valuable and unique service in a professional, community-focused manner. I ask for your vote again April 6th so that I may continue this important work. Thank you to the Norwood League of Women Voters for hosting this event and for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Rob Desario. Thanks for watching.